What is going on, IBL fans? TenaciousFox here, and I am joined by my co-host Buttermink, and we will be your Week 5 Pick'ems team. Okay, so for our first match of the week, we do have the Miami Malamarlins and the Carolina Pantherians. I took the Pantherians. Who did you take in this one, Buttermink?
I actually think Miami wins just because looking at his team, he has no Volcarona switching. Like, answers start and end at chipping it with rocks from Dugtrio, trapping it with Dugtrio, which could be dangerous unless he's scarfed, or cover dance up, and that he has Water Shuriken Greninja.
Mm-hmm. No, that's actually a really good point. He really doesn't have a switch in for that. Now, Golbat could potentially be a counter to that, to the Volcarona.
But then, Golbat doesn't do much on the offensive side. It can't really touch Bronzong. Sure, it can U-turn out. But, as far as passivity goes, Volcarona, it just invites in Bronzong, which, is definitely levitate this game if it comes. So Dugtrio can't do anything to it.
I can see the Torn T being a switch in for it as well. But that is a good point because I didn't even notice, I didn't even take note of that because the Volcarona does really put in work against Techno's team this week.
Mega Mawile does about 79 a Volcarona. It has to take Rock Chip before it can do that.
Yeah. One thing that I did know, does Thundy T get defog? I don't think it does, right?
Genie's got defog as far as Gen 7 tutors went. Now, is it a good defogger? No, not at all.
Well, what I was kind of going off of is that I do expect Techno to bring the sticky webs, and it doesn't appear that Miami has a whole bunch of options to get rid of it.
Although, one thing that would be very dangerous if he brought sticky webs is Superior getting that.
Oh, contrary, but yeah. So maybe he doesn't bring it at all. Maybe he doesn't bring it at all because he's afraid of that Superior. That's another thing I didn't even take note of. On paper, I do think this is going to be a super, super close match. Unfortunately, we haven't seen a lot of Tone. I haven't seen a lot of him. I saw him a little bit at the end of last season, and obviously had a good first week in the IBL. But I do know that he's going up against one of the best coaches that we have in this league in Techno. I'm fairly confident in saying that.
Techno is a good coach. He impressed me when he took over, was it in the GBAD league?
Was it Zazo's team?
He faced Zazo in the championship, and that started a whole controversy. But he took over Ben's team.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Impressed me because he's a really good battler.
I do think that Greninja has a decent matchup here as well. Even though it's only Torrent, it can really hit some things hard.
Is a monster.
Mm-hmm. And of course, it's got such a wide move pool as well, which makes it even more dangerous.
Hold on. Is Greninja one of his Zmons? Because if it is...
His only Zmon is Tornadus T.
If Greninja was a Zmon, I could see him bringing it physical or mixed and going with Z Gunk Shot for the Sylveon.
Mm-hmm. I'm kind of... Now that you've noticed the Volcarona, I'm kind of expecting the Tornadus... the Tornadus T is his Z Captain, so I'm expecting a Z Hurricane to take out the...
Outside of Bronzong or Thundurus, he doesn't really have a Torn T switch in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another mon that I think can put in some work here as well.
Definitely.
Obviously,
things outside of Z.
Yeah, obviously the Thundy T is. If he brings that in, he's gonna have a chance to set up at least one turn with a Thundurus. like if he brings it in on a free switch or something.
Yeah, definitely. And HP, like, he can bring HP fire on the Thunderous, and that covers almost his entire team.
Yeah,
Fire weak.
Techno is fairly weak to fire type attacks. Now I do think some of that changes here. Actually, I think it gets worse next week, based on the changes he's made to his team. But yeah, that's a really good point.
So yeah, I definitely think that if Miami plays its cards right, they can definitely pull out the W here.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next match, because this next match is probably going to be one of the best matches of the week. We do have the New York Cosmogs versus the San Jose Panquakes. This is another one that I think is like really close on paper, and you can't really say that one coach has got an advantage over the other because these are two really good coaches. Obviously, Darude was our champion last season, and Tyler has just had an amazing start to this season. But I did pick Tyler to win another match. Who did you pick?
I had the New York Cosmogs specifically because of the fact that Mega Aerodactyl owns house in this game. Doesn't want to take a ground move. Mega Metacham doesn't like Aerial Ace. Scolipede doesn't like Aerial Ace. Clefkey doesn't like Earthquake. Palisand is more of a special wall, but he can do stuff against Mega Aerodactyl. As long as his Kartana doesn't come in. That's
the one thing that I noted as well, is that Mega Aero can really, really tear up Darude's team here. I think the Palisand is really his only... That's kind of his only safe switch in to this thing. Like that's the only thing on his team that I see that really can stop this thing from just running a train on him.
That or Umbreon, which is actually the one reason I think the Panquakes could pull this out is that his fighting type is Combuskin. Looking at this team, Combuskin is absolute dog crap against.
Well, one thing that I think that's going to be a non-factor, just because I think that the Mega Aerodactyl is going to be able to do enough work in this match where even if it doesn't outright win him the match, like even if that's not his win con, I think it'll put in enough damage that Kartana, even whether it's like a Scarf Kartana or some kind of speedy variant, can come in and just clean up.
See Sacred Sword.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we've seen that from him as well, where he's used the Kartana to sweep 3, 4, 5 mons already this season.
If he gets it in the right situation, can absolutely, if some stuff gets chipped, can absolutely do well here.
Yeah, and of course he's got the Necrozma as well. He's just got so many offensive weapons here. Now
Darude can't touch the Necrozma.
Darude is known for having really bulky teams and just really annoying to deal with.
Versus GoldoaDragon. Oh my god, I would hate to face his team.
But like I said, I mean, Darude has had a fantastic season so far, but Tyler has just seemed to be 2-3 turns ahead of everyone that he's played so far. Even against Jacob in last week's match, where it was 2 undefeated teams going against probably 2 of the best coaches we have here, and he still seemed like he was 2 to 3 turns ahead of him, like, and planning the match out.
Yeah, it's definitely, this is going to be a very good game.
All right, well, let's move on to our third match. We do have the Colorado Mamoswine and the Minnesota Golden Golducks. I took the Golducks in this one. Who did you take?
Actually, also took the Golducks, specifically because the famous Cocalucha, which I will go on record saying that I think is overrated to the point of being actually pretty... Halucha has to contend with a Reuniculus, a Landorus T, a Grand Bull, Heliolisk. Well, I guess it can beat Heliolisk if it gets a speed boost, but it has to contend with so much that its matchup here go towards it.
Sorry, you keep cutting out on me. But I do agree with you. Now, I don't think Coco Lucha's that overrated. It's a little bit more overrated in Draft League, I think. I don't see it as being as much of a dominant force in Draft League as it is in Smogon. But
Because you can come in prepared for it.
yeah. But I do think that Flame Horizon's overwhelming defense in this is going to be a match where defense trumps offense in this one. It has kind of been the story all season for the Golducks. I know they did lose last week. I thought they made some big misplays, but I don't see them repeating all those misplays this week. And one thing that I do think, one mon that I think can put in some work, and I thought it would put in work last week, he never got the chance to set it up right, is Mega Camel.
Definitely. Mega Camel up. Like, nothing wants to take a Mega Camel up in Trick Room. Mega Aggron, weak to both of its stabs. Sheer Force boosted stabs, mind you. Tapu Koko ain't taking an Earth Power. Arcanine, Earth Power kills. Halucha, Fire Blast decimates.
Yeah, he's just got...
is probably his only switch-in, and that's a very hazardous switch-in, because Earth Power spread can 2-hit KO easily.
Although, can the Jellicent underspeed it? Maybe? I mean,
No, they can't. I'm pretty sure Jellicent's base speed is in the 40s, and Mega Camerupt is 20.
Yeah, I mean, those are such low speed tiers, like... Oh, no, actually, Jellicent's in the 60s. Dang, that's a lot faster than I thought it would be. I mean, that's not that fast, but that is faster than you'd expect it to be. In my opinion.
It looks very slow.
Yeah.
But
yeah, like I said, I thought that he would bring the Trick Room Mega Camel last week, and he never got it set up. But I don't see Eric stopping it. So, I mean... Because he doesn't have...
He could have Taunt Persian.
Yeah, I mean, Persian is the one mon that looks like it can take care of the Reuniclus. But I think, after making such big mistakes last week, letting the Reuniclus go down, turn 3, I think he's going to be more careful about setting up that Trick Room this week.
Definitely. Although, one thing that I think would be a really heat set if Heavy bought specs Jellicent. Because, outside of Suicune and Tangrowth, that would actually deal a significant chunk to a lot of his team.
Mm-hmm. Well, unless you brought Dry Skin Heliolisk or something.
Oh, yeah, true. Heliolisk actually wouldn't be a bad wing for him at all. Doesn't have a terrible matchup.
Yeah, I just think... I mean, the Golducks just have so many counters to Eric's team here.
Boy.
So let's move on to our fourth match, because we don't want this to go too long. Obviously, this is the Chester Chinchills versus the Baltimore Orioles. I picked the Orioles. I think you did too as well, right? You there?
I did pick the Orioles as well. I don't think there's any contest.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, the Chinchills just really haven't been good this season. And, matchup aside, they haven't looked like winning yet in this league. And because of that, I don't feel comfortable picking them to win. Until we see, some of that gameplay change, then I think it's just...
Yeah, they leave a lot to be desired.
Yeah. But that's all we have on that match. So let's move on to our fifth match, and it is the Marlboro Mudsdales versus the Lawrence Talonflames. I took the Talonflames in this one. Who did you take?
Going to be a contrarian again and say that Marlboro can win this, because I'm looking at his team, and Garchomp looks like thebomb.com in this matchup. Like Poison Jab, Tapu Bulu, what is it? Earthquake, Mega Charizard, what is it? Earthquake, Empoleon, gone. Raikou, gone. Gone. Slurpuff, if it doesn't get set up, and this is the big point of contention here, I think that whichever hits the field and gets in a proper position first will win this game, whether it's Slurpuff or Garchomp. I think both of those Mons are in the perfect position on either team to hit the field and hit the ground running.
Well, I do think that Garchomp on Brendan's team is his one huge. That's his huge weapon in this match, for the reasons that you stated. Now, I do think it might need to be scarfed, which kind of hinders its usage a little bit because he's got to switch out. He might get set up on in that case, and then he gets countered. But on the other end, Austin's got so many offensive weapons to deal with most of Brendan's team as well. He's not limited to just that Garchomp like Brendan is. Because he's got Zardex, he's got Hitmonlee, he's got Bulu, he's got Raikou, he's got the mentioned Slurpuff. He's got Mudsdale that can kind of tank a hit from Garchomp if it needs to.
That's it. I mentioned that in my notes because if he almost always brings either Spiritomb or Mudsdale, Garchomp, because both of them, one can burn Garchomp, the other can eat hits because of its ability. And he definitely has to bring Roserade and Mega Diancie, both of them, if he's going to put Garchomp in a position where it can actually win him the game.
And I also think that he could potentially bring the Spiritomb, trap it in there, and maybe do a pursuit trap, or if he brings Scarf or something and he gets locked into a move that he can't really use, or he could possibly do a Destiny Bond as well, which I could see
definitely.
I just think
Spiritomb has a good matchup here.
I just think Brendan's gonna be too one-dimensional in this match to really pull out a win, just because of what I mentioned before.
Yeah, and another thing that I noticed is that Brendan's team doesn't like Stealth Rocks if that Mega Diancie can't get Mega Evolved really early.
Yeah, he does have this
terrible matchup, which leaves his only Defogger as Scizor, which is a good Defogger, I won't lie. But also, Scizor has a decent matchup, but I wouldn't call it the alpha of this match.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, because even I don't know, man. Because you can run HP Fire on almost anything and catch your opponent off guard.
Charizard, Mega Charizard doesn't give a dick about Scizor.
No, it doesn't.
It fucks Scizor over. It bends it over the table and is like, "You're mine, bitch. Shut up."
Yeah, it really. But I do expect Brendan to have something planned with that Garchomp, whether it be Scarfed or even if it's he could potentially bring a Salac Berry set.
That would be. I don't know if he could get that off as a problem.
Well, I mean, if you look at Austin's team, he doesn't have a lot of priority. He does have the Sucker Punch on Spiritomb. He could possibly outspeed it with Hitmonlee with Unburden, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
With the ×2 speed boost?
Yeah. Let me see here. I don't think Hitmonlee is faster. Yeah, Hitmonlee is not faster, so it probably wouldn't outspeed. And yeah, so I mean, that's the one thing I do see is that Austin just doesn't really have a lot of priority. So if he got set up with that Salac Berry set, he's not really, unless something tanks a hit, he doesn't really, he can sweep at that.
Yeah, definitely.
But
Garchomp or Slurpuff get positioned first, and whoever does takes the game.
I can agree with that. let's move on to our 6th match of the week. We do have the New York Metagross and the New York XL Pikas. I've got the Metagross. Who do you have?
I completely 100% agree. The Metagross, I think their matchup, first of all, is just overwhelming for the XL Pikas. Like, I just don't really see any way the XL Pikas can break through the Metagross. They are just almost like watching David try and take on Goliath and being like, what are you trying to do? Like, that was in the Bible. This is modern day, and your matchup is terrible.
Well,
like, Kyurem Black just destroys you.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
Kyurem Black destroys him.
I did note that as well. But that aside, the XL Pikas have had a similar season to the Chinchaos. They've really gotten bopped in every single match. Now, I do think that they're in a better position than the Chinchaos. I do think they've got a better team. They just really haven't played well to this point. But like you said, like the Kyurem Black, like even if KreselleKey is able to take this thing out eventually, I don't think it's going to come early in the match. And by the time if she even is able to take it out, by the time she does, she's going to be too weakened for her whole team to really pull out a win.
Because basically anytime Kyurem Black comes in, she loses them on.
Yeah, it's just like that. So now, unless somehow she gets the Mian Shao on it and to like revenge kill or something, or if Josh makes a huge mistake, it could happen.
Be a bling, yeah.
But of course, then she might miss the high jump kick. You never know.
Pokemon's a skill-based game, people. 100%.
Of course. Let's just move on to the next match since there's not much to say about that one. We do have the Green Bay Pikachus versus the New York Empoleon, and I have the Green Bay Pikachus winning this one. Who do you have?
I'm going to give out my bias right now. I am a big GoldoaDragon fan. I help him build on the occasion. Like, I actually helped him team, but, and I say this looking at it from more of a critical mindset, I think if he plays his cards right, the combination of Jirachi, Rotom Heat, and Terrakion just dumps the Green Bay Pikachus into the ocean. However, and this is a big however, if he cannot prevent webs from getting up and Mega Gardevoir comes in, he can do about it. Mega Gardevoir will clean his house.
Now, I think Celesteela puts in a lot of work here as well. Because obviously the only thing that really, really wants to take it on is the Rotom Heat. So I do expect... first of all, I should say that this is another really interesting match because even though Goldoa is only 1-3, but he has played some of the best teams that we've got in this league. So he's probably the best 1-3 team that we have. Like, and I can confidently say that. He's gotten a little unlucky in a couple matches. Like I think he's got a couple 1-0s that he just barely lost or something really could have gone his way. So even though he's 1-3, like take that lightly.
Like he's had close matches.
Yeah. Now I do think that the Pikachus are one of the better teams in this league. He's going to have a lot of options here. And I think Mega Guardia is one of them. And I think Celesteela is another one because, again, the Rotom Heat, that's the only thing that you can really take it on with. The only thing that I can just think of off the top of my head. And Komodo can also put in some work here as well. And I do expect... I expect Jacob to bring some kind of rocks, and he's going to want to keep those rocks up just because passive damage on that Rotom Heat is going to be super crucial because... I mean, he's gonna recognize that that's really Goldoa's only counter to his Celesteela, and obviously, you know, Goldoa is not gonna want to leave that thing on hits because he's a good enough player too to recognize that he's got to keep that Rotom Heat around. So I think hazards are going to be a huge part in this one.
Which is why I think Gold is almost forced to bring Xatu, which doesn't really have the best matchup when it comes to stuff like Como-O or Marowak.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think it's going to be an uphill battle. But I think if Goldoa plays his cards right, he can definitely pull out the win here.
Yeah, you did say it was going to be an uphill battle, and that's similar to what I wrote down in my notes. Because I just think that the Empoleons are going to really be on the back foot in this match. I think they're going to just have to continually counter Jacob, unless Jacob makes a huge mistake, which I doubt happens because he is a really good player. Minimal mistakes, unless he makes a huge mistakes or Goldoa just catches him completely off guard. I think he's gonna have to be on the back foot here, and it's just not gonna work out well.
I think that if played right, Jirachi, Terrakion, and Rotom Heat can bust this team open like a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
If his walls will be enough to support that.
I can see that. Anyways, I think we've said everything that we have to say about that match. So let's move on to the final match of the week. We do have the Bouffalants, the Colorado Bouffalants, and the Pittsburgh Huchbauers. Who did you pick in this one?
Was actually the first match I personally looked at, and my very first thought when looking at the team matchup is Mega Scizor and Tapu Fini just win. Like, they can stall out, especially if Licky Licky is providing wish support. They can stall out everything Pittsburgh has and can just dominate. So I went with the Bouffalants winning in the end.
I went with the Bouffalants as well. I do think it will be a close match, just because Rio, I mean, again, these are two really good players as well. Rio does have a decent team. Now, it's not the greatest team, but he does have a decent team. He's got a really good core. But even like the Mega Lop, which is debatably Rio's best offensive option,
unless Zygarde gets set up.
Yeah, unless Zygarde gets set up. But, I mean, the Zygarde's not going to do much to the Fini, which is what I kind of noted as well. Now, the Incineroar is maybe going to be one of the switch-ins to the Mega Lop, just because it does carry that Intimidate. It will still get hit pretty hard by a high jump kick, even after the Intimidate, but one thing that JP does have is he's got that Licky Licky, so even if he takes a big hit from the high jump kick, he can always at some point heal it up with a wish.
This is actually a tech I used in a match before where I had an Incineroar versus a Mega Lopunny. I brought the Chople Berry superpower. Mega Lopunny got blasted to the next dimension.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, even then, like, he probably isn't going to bring. He's probably not going to leave the Mega Lop in on the Incineroar. So even, I mean, unless JB predicts him to like switch out and he doesn't go for the switch out and he just loses his Incineroar early on, which I guess could happen.
Which would make Victory Bell all the more intimidating. Like, Incineroar is one of his only Victory Bell answers.
Mm-hmm. Like,
if Victory Bell gets under Sun, Incineroar is pretty much his only thing that can go like, "Hey, you stop right now."
Well, he does have the Z Noivern, so he could run like a Z Hurricane. Now, I don't expect him to run that, but that is an option as well. But what I was gonna say was, if he loses that Incineroar early, I do think this becomes a much more interesting match, especially like if he predicts him to switch out with a Mega Lop, because one thing that I would think about in this match is like, when we bring in the Incineroar on the Mega Lop, he's probably going to switch it out, a free knockoff on something. So if he like predicts him to switch out going for a knockoff and then he doesn't and he loses Incineroar, it does make it a lot more interesting. But of course, even then, I think it's going to be tough for Rio to,
because like Pittsburgh just keeping down Mega Scizor and Tapu Fini, because that core is just devastating to his entire team.
Yeah, and Scizor, Mega Scizor, he really doesn't have a lot of options for that. I mean, Torkoal is his only fire type. Now, granted, like I said earlier.
Oh, Under Sun.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, anything can run HP Fire, but I don't really expect it. Now, maybe a special Metagross. I could see that being a thing.
Heat. Or a Power Punch, Fire Punch Mega, not Mega, but Metagross.
If it was Mega Metagross, then he would have... JP would have some serious problems.
I don't think Metagross actually would run through this team pretty dang well.
But anyway, that is all that we have for you guys this week. Hope you guys enjoyed the pick'ems. See you guys next time.